Awesome. So my name is Greg. Welcome to Stir Up the Paint virtual free event. We're going to be doing these, I'd say like once or twice a week. So we're really happy that you guys could join us. Just get to get a taste and feel of our style, what we do, and how we walk you through a painting, and some of the other vibe and energy that we give you along the way. So anyway, we hope you enjoy. Waiting for a couple more people to join us. But in the meantime, I'm going to be walking you guys through Strolling Through the Fall tonight. It's this painting here. It's awesome. It has fall leaves, which are stippled. Okay, stippled means that when you take your brush, and I'll talk about the brushes later, when you take your brush and you dip into the paint, and you go like this and make little dabs, it's called stippling. And all the French Impressionist painters stippled. And we call them stipplers when they stipple. Gauguin, Pissarro, Monet, Renoir, all of the famous painters, they all stipple. Very, very cool. All right? So, a couple things about this painting that I want to show you is that you have a little bit of perspective here with the blue that goes at a triangle formation, which we're going to do first, okay? We're going to do the triangle formation in baby blue, and then we'll layer down some of the orange on the pathway, and then we'll start to stipple some of the sky, the trees. And then what we'll do is the tree trunks will actually meet up into the stippling, so we don't actually do the trees first. We do the stippling and the leaves first, and then the trunks can actually go right up into the tree. Goes right up into the stippling part. All right, so guys, feel free to make comments below. Let me know where you guys are from. We have people all over the world, so it's super, super fun just to see where people are from. So go ahead and comment, and then I will respond back to your comments, and I can type comments in too as well, and we can enjoy. All right, so let's go over a few things of materials, and then we can start, okay? So we have a paint palette. Yes, we have a paint palette here. It is white, blue, red, yellow, and black. The formal names: titanium white, phthalo blue, bright red, chrome yellow, and black. Notice all of the yellow I have. And I'll tell you why I have a lot of yellow. It's because of this. Red is very, very strong. Blue is very, very strong. And of course, black is strong. So when I go to mix red and yellow, which is orange, it's going to look red, right? So you need to add a lot more yellow to it to get it to look orange. And anything you add white to gets lighter. So white to blue would be baby blue. White to red would be pink. Anything you add white to gets lighter. Right. So red and yellow is orange. We talked about that. More yellow, less red gives you a nice orange. Blue and red is purple. We have some purple here. Right in here, right? When you have the shadows of the trees going down like this, and also the shadows off of the people walking, strolling through the park there, it is purple. We can also, a lot of times I do the trees in purple too. I don't always use black, because black can be pretty heavy. So sometimes I just use purple for the tree trunks as well. And it works out really, really well. Blue and yellow is green. There's not a lot of green in this painting, but if you want to introduce some of the green, the idea is this, guys. The idea is this: you can do whatever you want. You can match a painting into your bathroom or to your house or whatever. You don't have to follow what I'm doing and follow the colors that I'm doing. So I'm teaching you technique, and what you can do with that technique is you can take it and apply it to your own set of palette color in the way you want to do it. We keep it really upbeat here, so it's very light, very positive, no judgments, no critiques. It's not like a class like that. It's just very light, very upbeat. If you're having an issue with part of your painting and you'd like some instruction, you can put a comment below, and then what I can do is I can comment and talk about it. It's not like a live event. A live event, I can see the paintings and I can walk around and kind of get that energy. So if you would be so kind as to feed some of that energy to me, then I can give that energy back to you. So it basically works that way. All right, cool. And if you have any questions, feel free just to comment there, and I'll answer them as they come in. All right, so we went over the paint. Now, obviously, you know that I have a lot of paint on my plate, so I don't have a place to mix. So these are my mixing plates. I have two because they're kind of small, but I want lots of room to be able to mix and play. I want to become you know, childlike. I want to release my inner artist. I want to have fun. I don't want to be restricted. So I want to be able to mix and play and do what I enjoy and what I like. It's 2 hours where you get off the planet and you get to really be yourself and, you know, and enjoy without worrying about what's going on outside. Like right now, we're sitting in, you know, smoke, like can't even breathe. We can't even go outside. I don't have my windows open. But I don't care about that right now. Right now I'm here, present with you, and that's what I care about. And we should just have fun for 2 hours and just enjoy ourselves, and the rest of the world can wait. All right, perfect. All right, we have brushes. I have 3 brushes. I could normally do it really with 2. Okay, so I have a medium flat tip brush, and I have a small round brush here. Okay, right? Medium flat tip and a round. And then I have a tinier brush for some of the little branches that we're going to do later on. Some of the tiny ones, like up in here, right? Some of the little tiny ones. Yeah. All right. All right. So those are brushes, and I also have, you know, I have a towel to wipe off the paint, so you know I can dip into my paint water and rinse around. This is my paint water right here. It looks like a beer mug. I have drunk out of it before. It's not very tasty, and my teeth become blue, which isn't super fun. So if you want to maybe deter yourself from drinking out of your paint water, you can just put your brushes in your paint water, and that will probably stop you from drinking out of it, I would think. Speaking of drinking out of it, it's always great to have a little libation. I have mine back here, right? I have a little glass of wine. And it's nice just to have, like, they call it paint and sip, because you paint and you have a sip of something that you enjoy, and it helps to release your inner artist and sort of release some of the fear, get rid of some of the inhibitions, and, you know, allows you to relax a little bit more. Some people, you know, they're painting for different reasons. They're painting because they're giving it as a gift, and for Father's Day, and it might be really stressful for them, and you know, everyone enters this space in a different place. And it's important to understand that space and to understand where they're coming from and some of the things that, you know, that they're going through when they're painting. Everyone's like, you know, just in a different space. So, anyway, so salud, cheers to you guys, and welcome to our first free virtual event, painting event with Stir Up the Paint. We have done a bunch of other virtual events, but this is our first free one. We're going to be doing, like I said, hopefully a couple of them a week. So cheers to you guys, salud. Yummy. All right. So I'm going to take my medium flat tip brush, right? This guy here. And I'm going to create baby blue. Now remember, I talked about blue being really, really strong. So you don't need a lot of blue. Oh, I love this song. Oh my God, this is so great. This is Echo Smith Radio. This song is from Fickle Friends. I just love it. I'm just going to turn it up just a bit, just to dance a little bit. Just want to dance just a little, sorry. This is how we do it. We just enjoy it, whatever we feel. Oh my God, I love this song. All right, enough dancing, I'll turn it down. Oh, I like this part right here. Love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. All right, let me turn that down. Okay, so we're gonna make baby blue. Just a smidge, itsy bitsy, little teeny weeny blue. Like just a little bit. You don't need a lot, okay? Now I'm gonna add white to that. That gives me a really nice baby blue. See that? You do not need a lot of blue. Do not need a lot of blue, okay? All right, cool. So I've got some baby blue, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out the painting and create a little bit of the pathway, right? Create a little bit of the pathway and outline a little bit of what we're doing so we know where we're going, all right? So we have a little bit of light up in here, right? A little bit of baby blue up in here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a line coming down just to kind of let me know how wide it gets down here. And I'm just going to build it. Now you can go outside those lines. It's okay because we're going to layer in. We're going to layer in a little bit of orange and some reds and some other stuff, right? So, feel free. Here we go. But remember, if it gets too heavy, right, you can always add a little bit of white in there, like this, just to lighten it up a little bit. All right. Right? I'm going to go all the way down. Notice I'm going outside of the lines. It's okay, right? I'm going outside of the lines. Totally, totally okay to do that. We want to do that because this is very blendy. It's a very blended impressionist painting, right? Very blended in here. So we don't want fine lines, okay? We don't want fine lines. All right. So, we continue on here, right? Continue on. Now again, if you get too much blue, right, you can always just add your white in there. Add your white in there. And we can push it back, meaning we can change this color and push it back with our oranges when we layer those in. So it looks something like that. Right? And you can tell where the orange is going to go. All the orange is going to fill in here on the sides, right? Okay, cool. So I'll let you guys get caught up with that. If you have any questions about color or how to lighten things up, you know, just reach out to me and let me know. All right, cool. Remember to go outside the lines. Really important to go outside the lines. Remember, I'm going to push some of that orange back in, all those other fall colors back in. But you can see that it's creating a pathway, right? Now, it's very much too wide in here. It's very wide in here, right? But I'm going to push into with my yellows and my oranges, and I'm going to shrink that down. I'm going to shrink it down. So it's going to look really, really cool. And it'll look more like this guy here, right? All right. All right. So I'll let you guys lay that down a little bit. And then we'll go from there. I'm going to try out some of these comments here. Say, awesome. Okay. All right. Now when we're moving on, remember that if your blue is too heavy, you can always add some white onto that, okay? So, I'm going to rinse off my brush, and I'm going to make some oranges. When I say oranges, I mean multiple colors of orange, because the original orange we're going to make with our red and our yellow is going to be very much red. I told you the red is really, really strong, right? Okay. But if I add yellow by itself over to another corner, I get a lighter orange. See how dark that is and how light that is? Now if I add some more yellow, I get an even lighter orange here, right? And I can even add a little white to that. If I add a little white to that, it gets light orange. So I'm going to use these three colors to layer in my pathway, all right? So I can start with the darker one, and I'm going to use all three, okay? So here we go. Are you ready? Go on the journey with me. All right, here we go. So I'm going to layer in this, right? Now, I'm not afraid to go into the blue, right? I'm not afraid. Okay. Not afraid to do that. Now I can go in and I can add some white to that, right? Add some white to that. And get some lighter colors, right? You want to make sure that you get some different fall colors in there. There we go. And very small toward the end, right? And then here too, like, you know, I could go a little bit deeper in here. Don't worry about seeing a little bit of that blue peeking through right now, because we're in a layer and our trees are going to go up there, right? So don't worry about that. All right, cool. And then we're going to do the other side. Do the same thing. We're going to do the other side and layer that in. All right. Salud. Hey, Steph. Welcome to our first Stir the Paint virtual free event. Welcome. I'm glad you took a moment to join us. Super happy. Love and light to you. All right. So again, we're going to layer in the other side, right? We're going to do the other side. And we have our three colors. So we have a darker, right? A darker orange and lighter oranges because we added some yellow to that too. And we're going to continue to layer that in. And don't forget, you want to go into your blue, right? You want to go into your blue. Cheers, Steph. I don't know if you're sipping along, but cheers. You missed earlier, I had a little dance set. There was an awesome song that came on, and I was so happy I started jumping around like a jumping bean. I hope I didn't scare too many people away. But anyway, all right, so here we go, you guys, right? More orange layering, right? Layering. Now, don't be afraid. I can go both ways, right? When I paint, I can go both ways. I go to the right. And don't forget, you want to go into that path, right? You want to go into that path. Now, if the orange gets too light, what would you do? You would add more red to it, right? You would add more red to it, and it would become a darker orange. You add more white to it, it becomes lighter. So you want to make sure you get some different colors in there. Super, super fun. So I'm going to add a little bit more red because I didn't have like a darker orange in there. Stephanie's laughing. Oh my god! Did you just see the dance thing? Or are you just cracking up? I don't know. But if you saw the dance thing, yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Wait, I want to see more of this. More. Oh, cool. All right. So here we go. Right? Here we go. More here. Got some oranges, some reds, more red in there. Don't be afraid to go into that path, right? We're shrinking it down. We're shrinking it down. Don't worry about if there's a little bit of blue that you see underneath, like here. Don't worry about that because we're going to layer in other colors and trees and stuff. You know what? Don't worry at all. Don't worry at all. This is stress-free. Don't worry. Just have fun. And if you have any questions, just reach out to me. But worry is not part of this. Worry is somewhere else, outside of this room right now. Okay, cool. So here we go. So we have a little bit of orange in here. I'm going to add some in here, right? Now I have a little bit more of what I would call like a pathway there. It looks kind of cool. I still think it's a little wide, but you can gauge that how you like it, right? And I'm a super clean artist, by the way. I do not like getting paint on me. It's super, super weird. Hey Donna, welcome from North Seattle. Are you painting with us? I hope you are, and if not, just hang out and enjoy, and we'll go from there. If you'd like us to catch you up, let me know. Okay, cool. So, like I still think this is a little wide, right? So I can just dig right into it and just shrink it down a little bit, right? See how you can just change the shape of it? Now that looks cool. It looks like a path. This one is like just a little odd to me. But that's it, right? Now I've got oranges and I've got, look at the different colors, you guys. I have oranges and I have yellows in there, right? So you should have some different colors. You can also take your yellow directly on your canvas like this, and you can layer in yellow and you can mix onto your canvas. So don't be afraid to mix onto your canvas. Hey Anna, welcome, welcome, all right? Don't be afraid to mix onto your canvas. Your plate is not only your palette, your canvas is a palette too. So feel free to mix on your canvas and just enjoy and have some fun. All right, so I'm adding some yellow, and I'm actually specifically going into some of the parts where I had a little bit of blue showing, right? Okay. So add a little bit of yellow in there, kind of cool. Get out a little bit of white, right? If I add a little bit of white, that blue that's peeking through really goes away. So if that's bothering you, and you want to get rid of it, right? You can get rid of it like that. Bam, it is gone. Don't be afraid to stretch out into your pathway, right? You don't want to keep it nice and even. You want to be able to stretch some of that paint into your pathway, and that gives it a really nice impressionist feel. All right, cool. So I'll let you get caught up with that, and I also want you guys to learn how to layer. So not only are you putting in the basic colors that I just did, right? But you can take a little bit of red, right? You can take a little bit of red like this, and you can layer it in just in a couple spots, right? You want to get some different colors in there, right? It's okay to do that. See how it creates some depth and texture in there? That's what you want, right? So you're not just relying on what you originally put in, okay? And if you don't like what you have, you can always put your original color back in. And again, if your baby blue shrinks too much, you can always put your baby blue back in and expand it, all right? So it's super, super fun, super cool. The idea is that you are enjoying, right? That you are enjoying. If you have any questions, you can just reach out to me and ask me. I love how the comments are so vibrant. I can see everything really clearly, and I really like the flow of Facebook Live. Even better than Zoom, although I do like to see people paint in Zoom, and that's the only thing that's missing. But you can always describe to me what's going on in the process, so I can help you through some of that. All right, cool. Again, if you want more highlights, you know, I could dip into my yellow, right? If you want a little bit more highlight, you can dip into your yellow. If you notice, the yellow really gets eaten up. Eaten up meaning that it just gets absorbed by a lot of the red, right? That's why when we stipple later on, we're going to stipple in a heavier color for our trees up in here. We're going to stipple in reds and oranges, and then when it dries a little bit, we're going to take our yellows and white into the yellow. And we're going to stipple over that, and that's where we get that fullness and that nice blanket of color. Because the red and the oranges, it just eats the yellow, and there's just no place for it. So you have to really kind of wait for it to dry a little bit, and then have some fun. All right. So let me know when you guys are in a good space. We can still do more once we have our trees in here. We're gonna add like little leaves coming up in here, right? Little leaves over the trunks, you know, to embed the trunks in there. So there are other things that we're gonna do, right? So don't worry about it. I just want to make sure that you get, you know, multiple colors in there, and you get to a space where you're enjoying it. I mean, I know it looks kind of weird right now, and it's okay. Just go with the flow. Go with the flow, and it's gonna work out. It's all gonna work out. You guys are gonna love it. Okay. So let me know if you guys are in a good space, if you're ready to move on, or if you need just a couple of minutes and you're still layering in some other colors and kind of figuring it out. More than welcome to do that. And again, I always like to take just a little bit of white too when it's wet. I like to take a little bit of white in here and just kind of give it a little bit of a highlight. Just in a couple areas. I love white, and I love the light that it brings. Because I'm white light, what can I say? I'm all white light. There is no darkness here, all right? Maybe that's why I like it so much. All right. So a little bit of white in there. It makes a difference, right? Gives a little bit of light. You can see that? It's neat. So now I have a lot of texture in there. See all the texture I have going on in there? It's cool. Lots of texture. I'm becoming an impressionist artist. Yes. Pizarro and Gauguin, Monet, I'm channeling Pizarro today. Alright? I'm Pizarro. Alright, cool. Alright. I think everyone's in a good space. No one said like stop or slow down or which is good. So what I'm going to do from here, you guys, is we're going to start stippling. We're going to start stippling up above here, all right? Now remember, when we stipple, we become what we call stipplers, right? So another French Impressionist technique where we're stippling. Notice on this side, it's a little bit higher. See the stipple? I'm not stippling down here. I'm keeping it a little higher so you can watch me. So we have some space for the couple to breathe. We don't want them to be embedded in the leaves, because if they're embedded in the leaves, then they're going to feel like me right now in this smoke and they can't breathe. So we want to make sure that they can breathe and they're having a happy walk and not a suffocating walk in which they're going to die, right? Okay, so, all right. So make sure it's a little higher so they have some air to breathe, all right? And then over here, we can go a little bit lower, and then once we have the pathway established, you know, we can stipple in a little bit here, right? A little bit of leaves to come down. But again, we want to give them, you know, the breathing room in here, the breathing room. Make sense? All right, cool. So stippling. Stippling is super, super cool. Now these are thicker stipples. So I'm going to start with my medium brush. These are pretty big stipples here, right? You can see. And stippling is just taking splotches, right? I told you earlier, just dabbing onto my brush. And I'm going to do it in front of you so you can see. But I'm definitely going to leave some room up above, right? To let them breathe a little bit. Okay. Here we go. We're going to become master stipplers right now. All right. We're going to do red and yellow. And it's okay that it stays a little bit darker because we're going to stipple in a bunch of colors, right? That's what's going to make it really full and really light and really fun. So don't worry if it's a little dark at the beginning. It will lighten up at the end. Believe me, with me here, it's definitely going to lighten. All right, here we go. So stippling. Dabbing, right? Like this. Stippling. Voila. Now you can leave some space in between for other colors. That's okay, right? Totally okay. Stippling, stippling, we go. I love stippling, it's one of my favorite things. I love how things turn out when you stipple. I love the texture of it. I love the impressionist feel of it. I love it. All right. Boom, boom. Here we go. Stippling, 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 right? Now remember, this is just one color, right? It's one color. I'm going to come down in here a little bit. And I'm not going to go too low down here. I'm just going to stay up a little bit above here, just to see how things go. I'm kind of keeping it nice and rounded in this center space, right? Nice and rounded in here, just in case. Because I don't want it to come down too heavy and we suffocate the people and then they can't breathe, and you know this thing. All right, here we go. So we leave a little bit of space there for them, right? A little bit of space. Come down. Stippling. You're getting that nice rounded effect. What's really cool is once we stipple, then we take the trunks and we go up into the leaves. It's much easier than trying to do the trunks first and then try to, you know, stipple and stuff. It's much easier just to stipple first, lay out, get a feel of where the painting is going, and then add some stuff. All right, cool. Hoping the pacing is good. All right. Now, I'm going to add a lighter orange. So I'm going to add a little bit more yellow. A lot of yellow. Look, it just eats it up, you guys. It takes the yellow and it devours it like it's dinner. Right? Okay. So, again, another color that we can stipple in, right? Another color that we can stipple in. Look. Stipple, stipple. So where that white part is, I can fill that in. And I have a whole nother color going on there. See the orange there with the red, right? Gives it a little bit of fullness. Gives it a little bit of fullness and a little bit of texture, and it's fun. I can add a little bit more yellow, because again, the yellows just get eaten up, eaten alive. Right. It's alive. It's alive. All right, here we go. Stippling again. Stipple, stipple, stipple. Right. Again, still like keeping that nice archway. Right? Just in case I'd like to raise a little bit of my baby blue or whatever, I just want to leave a little room for the people to breathe. All right. Stippling, stippling. We like the freckles on our faces, make a million stars. A constellation so amazing that we saw it start. If I'm honest. So you're starting to get some coverage now in your painting, right? Starting to get some nice coverage in there. You're starting to feel that it's laying out. You've got a pathway, you've got some color here, you've got some stippling going on. And what we're going to do is, as we focus on the trees, we're going to let some of this stippling dry off a little bit, because it gets a little heavy. And we want to really layer in those yellows, because quite honestly, guys, the yellows is what, the yellows and the whites and yellows in there is what really makes this painting. The reds and oranges really become the background. Okay, that's why we have to let it, dry a little bit, and because otherwise the yellow won't show up. It gets eaten, as you can see when we're mixing and stuff. All right. Okay. So you've got a pathway, and you've got some trees. Now, on this painting, I felt like the trees were really on the edge of the pathway. I mean, I think they could be embedded a little further back. So on this one, I'm going to make sure they're right, in the pathway. Okay. Now, again, perspective with the trees. So you've got trees that are in front of you, right? The trees that are bigger that are in front of you are a little bit darker. And then the trees that are behind you here that I pop in, they're a little bit lighter, okay? Now, you can do two things. You can use purple, which I really like, which is blue and red. You get a really nice dark purple. It acts like black. In an impressionist painting, I like it a little bit better than black, because black's like really strong. And then you can add a little white and get some lavenders for the other trees in the back part. See how light they are? And when they're really, really far, they're tiny, okay? Bigger up front, smaller to create the perspective, right? Foreground, background, okay? Small, right? Just remember that. And then anything in front of you is darker, foreground is darker, background on here is lighter, okay? So if you're using black and you like black, you can make some grays, add a little bit of white to it, and your gray will go in here and here and here in the background trees, right? And if you're using purple, then you just use a little white, and that becomes lavender, okay? All right, so I'm going to use purple. I really like purple, and I think for this painting, it's going to look really, really nice. So I'm going to use purple. So I'm going to switch brushes, okay? I'm going to use my small round brush, right? Small round brush, and I'm going to let some of the paint run out. When the paint runs out, that means that some of the trunks in the background, become lighter. Okay. All right. So purple, blue, and red. If you don't have enough red in there, it'll look really, really, really blue. Okay. So just remember that. You definitely want enough red. I added a little bit more red. All right, cool. So here we go. Yes. So we've got one here. Remember that the base can be a little bit longer, right? A little bit whiter. So the base can be whiter here, like this. And you're going to just go up from here, up, up, so you touch a little bit of the base of your leaves there. Okay? You can go a little bit higher. Now on this one, it goes all the way to the top. I'm not a fan of that. I feel like the leaves would have definitely overtaken that, right? So I can go a little bit higher, but I'm not going to go much higher than that. It's going to look a lot more natural going into a space. We can add little branches later on in between the leaves, but it's going to look a lot nicer here than having it go all the way to the top. Okay? All right. And then there's one next to it, right? One, two, three, four. There's one next to it, right? There's one here. A little bit wide, right? Could be a little bit shorter, than the other one. A little bit. But don't worry about these guys because we're going to embed leaves and other things into them. So don't worry about them, right? Don't worry about it. Okay? All right. We have 3, 4, and then we have some in the background there. So we have like another one here. Right? We have a bunch also on the side, you guys, just really light. They go all the way up to the branches. Now I've let some of the paint run off, so it doesn't have to be so heavy, right? I let some of the paint run off. But it's still going up into the foliage. Got one here, one here. I'm not dipping in to more paint. Look at how one is longer than the other one, right? Longer, right? One is shorter, one is longer. And you can continue to do that, right? And just create all kinds of little trunks behind you. Just to give it a fullness. Right? Just to give it a little bit of fullness. All right. And later on too, we can take our trunks, we could add some light into the trunks, and we could do other stuff. This is just flat color, just giving us like a base of where we're going and what we're doing. And again, I'm trying not to lean the canvas on the easel, and I'm trying to do it in the air so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. All right? So on the other side here, I've got a tree here, right? Right? Going up. But you can see how you're starting to get a little bit of life in there now, right? Cool. And again, same thing, you guys. You have lots of space. You have lots of background space in here. So I've got another tree in front here. Little trunk, right? I have another one here. Again, it's just going right up into my foliage, my stippling that I created, right? But I've still got some areas on the side here where I can create other trees, right? Right? And I can do more and more. And you can fill that in as much as you want. So there's no like, you don't have to do 3 or 4 trees. If you want it really full, like this one went kind of bonky when I was up there in the air. So I'm just fixing it a little bit. You can see how I just fixed that a little bit. Now remember, these look funky at the bottom, like trunky and funky, but we're going to add leaves and stipple over them so they're not going to be so funky. But remember, like, there's space in between here. There's space in between. Now, I have not dipped back into my paint. See how I have a little bit of fullness there? And I can even add like another one in here if I wanted to. Right in here. Just want to give you that fullness, right? It doesn't have to be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's based on your eye and really what you enjoy. It's not about what I'm doing. But I'm looking at it like this looks blank here. I don't like this. This looks blank. So I'm going to add a little bit more there. I could have one here. Feel like this space here, for me, right here, is empty. So I'm going to do another tree. We have it go all the way up here. Right? All right. Cool. Let me know how you guys are doing with that. How you're reaching the trees, the sky, to the foliage above. Which one should be shorter? The ones in the distance. Look how light they are. Look how light they are, like here. It's really, really light. See how I'm doing more, but really, really light. But it gives you the semblance that things are full. Okay? That things are fuller. That the forest is full. You can do one at the side here, right? All right. Cool. And this last little opening here, I'm just going to fill it with baby blue, just so we have it in there, so we give them some space to breathe a little bit. Remember, the baby blue is just a smidge. Remember, just a little itty bitty teeny weeny bit of blue. Blue is really, really strong. You want to make sure that you're just using just a little bit of blue and not a lot, okay? All right. And I'm going to add a lot of white to that because this is in the distance, you guys. This is the furthest point away, and I wanted to really have a lot of light. So I'm going to just put just a little bit of blue, not much. Right? Really, really light. Okay. I'm going to fill it in here. Fill it in. Now, we're probably going to go down into it, and that's okay. But I just want to have it here. I want to have it here so that they can breathe a little bit. And it looks kind of cool like that. Now notice it's much lighter than the other color, right? Much lighter. Okay. And we're going to stipple down into it. We are. But I just want to establish this so you guys don't feel like it's empty and you know where things are going. All right. Cool. Any questions so far? Donna, how are you doing? Is it going too fast? Is it okay? Let me know. All right. All right. Here we go. Now I'm going to start stippling. I'm going to stipple again with my smaller brush. I'm going to start stippling some leaves on the bottom of these trunks so they look a little bit more natural, okay? Because right now they look a little bit funky. So what we're going to do is, my goodness, one second. our super, super small round. And here's the round we're going to be using. Okay. All right, Donna, you're good. All right, awesome. So, we're going to take some oranges and yellows, right? So we're going to make orange first. So red and yellow, right? Red and yellow, right? Red and yellow. And we're going to stipple around some of these trunks here to make things a little bit more natural. Okay. We can also go out into the pathway too. So stipple. Okay. Start stippling underneath there, just to make things a little bit more natural and a little bit more impressionist, okay? Because it's just, they look really, really funky and really, really stiff. We can add a little bit of red in there. Remember, we made a red orange, an orange, and a light orange, adding white to it. So all of these colors are really, really good when we stipple in here, right? See how that's working? See how I took some of it and I went into the pathway with it? Right? It's okay to do that. We're just embedding some of those trunks, right, into the ground with some leaves. All right. Again, red, orange, stippling here, right? Stippling, stippling. Other side, stippling, right? And again, going out into the pathway with it. Right? Going out into the pathway with it, right? It's okay. We want to break those lines and make it look really natural. Okay? Alright, stippling some more. And then again into the pathway with it. All of these trunks are going to have stippling. Everything's going to have leaves and stippling. It's going to be really cool. I can go back in here and add color, right? See how that's coming alive a little bit, right? Doesn't look so funky anymore, right? And again, we're going to add more branches up in here. We're going to do more, a lot more with this. And add tiny branches and stuff. But right now, I want to let that dry a little bit, so we're working on other aspects, other parts of the painting. All right. Get my red oranges. Stippling. Again, it's okay to break those lines. Right? Break those lines, come in here, break those lines, right? It's okay. See how I'm breaking those lines? Makes it look really natural. So go ahead and go in there and just break some of that baby blue in there. See how that's working? Cool. All right. So I'm going to continue stippling, and I can add a little bit more yellow, some little lighter colors in here, and I'm going to continue adding some more colors. Now remember, if your black is showing up too much, you can add a little bit of yellow, even a little bit of white, and it will take care of it. Okay? And you can go back too with color here. If you wanted to layer in more color and it went across your black or your purple, right? You could go across it and just add your purple back in. You could do that if you want. I'm not going to do that, but you can do that. So if you like a color in your layering, you want to put your purple in later, then you can do that. So it's nice too to have like a couple pieces of yellow. So you can go right into your yellow, right? Go right into your yellow and put a couple pieces of yellow. It's nice. And again, I'm just stippling. Now, if it's too low, you can go up into the trunk, right? Right, so you've got little leaves in there, all kinds of good stuff going on. It's starting to dry a little bit, so I like the yellow. Wait until we start adding the yellow and the white on top. It's going to look so cool. It's going to look really, really neat. Alright, I'm going to add a little bit more yellow in here. And again, I'm still stippling. Stippling like Phthalo Blue, Monet, Gauguin, and Renoir. Okay? When you go to Paris, you have to swallow your Adam's apple into your stomach, or they won't speak to you. Okay? If you know how to do this, they will love you. Okay. Alright, stippling. Phthalo would be proud of me right now. She is very, very happy sitting in the place she is laying in Paris, watching me paint, saying to herself, yes, yes, this is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. Yes. See how I added a little bit of yellow in there, right? See the texture in there? Like this trunk still looks, which one is it? This one still looks strange to me a little bit. So I'm gonna just go in and embed it into the leaves because it's like strange. And I don't want it to be this way. Okay. Now I've become a Russian. I don't know how this happened. Okay. Here I go. So I'm just going to take this, bend a little bit of it. So just so wide. And again, you know, feel free to go into your pathway, right? Go into your pathway. This is so cool. Just go into your pathway. Just a little bit, right? Oh, look at that. See, break up that pathway. It looks so nice. Look at this guy. He's not broken up yet. Yep. Now he looks cool down there, right? Getting the feel of that? All right. Cool. I love the station. It's Echo Smith Radio. I absolutely love Echo Smith Radio. It's wonderful. Looking out my window, normally I can see the water and I just see smoke. It's like, ah. But supposedly Thursday or Friday, it's supposed to clear up and I can start walking again. Right now I've been like literally a prisoner of my home. I have a nice home, but I don't want to be a prisoner of my home. I feel like I have an ankle bracelet. I don't love that. All right, let me get some more towels here. Like I told you before, it's like I'm super clean when I paint. I know it's crazy. Like when I oil paint, I don't get a drop of oil anywhere. Like you will not see oil anywhere. Speaking of oil, these are paintings behind me here. So That one is a self-portrait at the top, modeled after Picasso, actually. And then I have a big 5-foot painting here. And I have another bunch of ones in the hallway. We can look at those later. All right. Let's continue on. All right, Donna. Now, we're going to start stippling into the sky. It's going to be so great. We've got to start using some of those yellows. But before we do that, what I want to do is, I want to put some of the branches in there so we can cover up some of them. But then keep some of them. Okay. I want to cover up some of them and keep some of them. So, I'm going to take my tiniest brush, right? This guy here. I'm going to go into my purple. Now, you can use black. Remember, we talked about that. But I'm going to use purple. And it doesn't matter how we do this because we're going to cover up most of it anyway, right? We're going to cover up most of it anyway. But we want to just get some of, a formation of what a tree looks like. Going up here, like, it's always like a little bit of like a Y formation, right? I always call them Ys. We're making like Ys. See the Y? Right? It's becoming a little more tree-like. I know, these look so funny, they're like all stumpy. But we're going to make them alive right now. We're going to make them into living, beautiful trees. Huh? Okay. Alright, here we go. Again, this one here, right? And again, this is, I know it looks like black, but it's not, it's just purple. This one here. And again, we're going to cover a lot of this up, so doesn't matter. But at least it's beginning to look a little more tree-like. And again, if some of these are short, the ones that you did in the background, if you feel like they're short, you can make them a little bit taller. Now look at this one. It's really, really dark. And what did I tell you? I told you that when they're in the background, they're not dark, right? So I don't want that one to be so dark. So I would take a little bit of white and I would go over it, right? And the ones in the background, make it a little bit lighter, okay? These ones, like just fade them back, right? So it's not so vibrant. Now we're going to continue on because they're stubby and they're really short. Stubby and they're really short, so I can elongate them here, right? Just elongate them a little bit. Right? Now again, as I'm changing this, I can embed those with leaves later on. I can embed them, right? Just like I did these guys. Just like I did these guys in here. Okay? Alright. Alright, so again, just going up here, elongating a couple pieces, right? And then just creating Y formations. That's all I'm doing. So like a Y formation here. Elongating this guy here, right? Y formation. See how that's becoming alive, right? Like these here, right? They need to go up here too. This one here too, right? All right. If you have any questions, Thank you, RJ. Good to see you, my friend. I can't cook like you, but I can paint like a fiend, for sure. All right. All right. So again, mixing my purple again, right? Purple, purple, purple. And elongating a couple of these pieces, right, over here. So this guy here needs to be elongated, right? Again, pressure matters, so I'm not really like applying a lot of pressure. I'm applying a little bit of pressure. By the way, RJ, there's a story I just have to tell you, everyone. When I first started with Paint Night Seattle, RJ was general manager of Ballard Annex Oyster House. He was the first venue in 2013 that I got and started doing Paint Night when I was originally with Paint Night. So long ago, RJ was my first venue. So RJ and I are very, very close. And I love the man. He's awesome. So just want to share that with you. That when you're a good person, it all kind of comes around in a big circle. So just be good, be kind to everyone, and when you see some ugly out there in the world, shed a little light and try to change it around, because that's what we're here to do. That's our purpose. All right, here we go. Purple. So I'm elongating a couple pieces here, right? Right? Elongating here. Some of these pieces are going to be hidden later on, right? But I'm trying to create that tree-like feel. And we're going to stipple over some of this, right? We're going to stipple over some of this. Hi, Jill. Welcome. You guys, by the way, Jill is also a good friend of mine. Jill's in Oregon, so pray for Jill, because right now they can't breathe in Oregon. So they're really like having some trouble with the virus. But Jill, on the website on stirupthepaint.com, we have a link to our supplies virtually that you guys can buy. And Jill is responsible for branding all of the materials for us and the jars and everything, and making it really nice for you guys. So when you order a kit, it's $25. If you use Stir Up the Paint as a code, you get 10% off. And Jill will ship them to you guys. And you guys can do that in advance, and then you have a paint kit that comes directly to your home, and you guys are all set. So, so Jill's responsible for that. So bless you, thank you, Jill, for making that happen. All right. Again, elongating my trees. Elongating my trees. Why? I'm just going to cover them up anyway. Shh. Elongating my trees. Don't talk back. That's what Mom always said. Don't talk back. All right. So again, some of the trunks. Remember some of the trunks that are like sticking out that look weird, that I don't love. You know, I can make an orange with some yellow. Remember, and I can go in and just stipple some leaves over it. They just look like a little funky, some of them. Right? Just a few. They're not light enough, right? This guy still is really heavy to me. This one, still like really heavy to me. So I'm just gonna lighten it up just a little bit. Look how I did that. A little bit of yellow and pushed it back. See how I did that? Remember how bold and bright this thing was? I just lightened it up a little bit with some of my stippling. Look, this guy too, right? I can lighten it up. See how that works? Isn't that cool? So you can constantly change and manipulate your painting to make it whatever you want it to be. Nothing is permanent. Like in life, everything changes. Your painting can also change. All right? Cool. All right. Donna is anxiously awaiting to stipple into the sky. It's Donna Rutherford. Excuse me, Donna Rutherford. Donna Marie Rutherford. She wants to start stippling in the sky. So we're going to do that now. And remember, it's really important to stipple with yellows, and then yellow-white really gives you that beautiful highlight. This is not just yellow, okay? This is a lot of yellow-white. A lot of yellow-white. Isn't that pretty? But look, it's mostly yellow. The red and the orange becomes a backdrop. It really becomes a backdrop for the painting. And the yellow just takes over and becomes this vibrant, beautiful, rich, lovely thing that really gives the branches and leaves a fullness and a life, really a life. Okay, so take your sip of wine. Yes, it's time to do the big stuff. So, all right, I'm gonna take my big brush. I'm gonna rinse it off. That top part is pretty dry now, so that we did all of this stuff, which is really great, right? Really great. Actually, I'm gonna let it dry just a little bit more. Mine is still a little bit wet. So why don't we do some of the shadows in purple? We do some of the shadows from the trees. Shadows from the trees. See the shadows? Right? Boom, 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 boom. The light is going this way. So the shadows, you could actually have shadows going back behind here, which I don't, but I'm going to add tonight, because I think it's going to be really cool. All right, so I'm going to take my small brush, this guy, right? I'm going to go into my purple. I'm going to wipe off the brush a little bit. I don't want too much paint on my brush, right? Not too much paint on my brush. And I'm just going to go across here, right where the trunk is of the tree. I'm going to go right, really light, into my pathway. Really light though, like not heavy. When I say light, I mean light pressure with the brush, look. See how the second one was a lot lighter? Because I'm not dipping into the paint again, right? I'm not dipping into the paint again. So they're just really, really light. Got one here. And then I wouldn't mind just doing a little shadow behind some of these. Right? See how I did some shadow behind here? It's becoming alive! It's alive! Alright. That's from a movie that probably outdates many of you. Probably think I'm crazy. He's like, why does he keep doing that? Anyway, alright. Shadows make it really light. And then when we do the people up in here, we can do little shadows for them too, right? You can do shadows in here if you want, like a little bit, right? Let the paint run out. Let the paint run out. So it's not heavy. See how that's heavier at the beginning, right? And then it runs out toward the end. All right, cool. All right, now we're going to stipple. Now we're going to stipple, Donna. Here we go. All right. With the big brush, here we go. I'm going just into my yellow. You know what, Donna? I'm talking to Donna because Donna left some comments, so I'm going to talk to Donna. So Donna, we can do two palettes. We can do a yellow and a yellow-white. We're going to use both of those. Yellow is just yellow, and yellow-white is more white added. You're going to use both. So here we go. This becomes really alive, you guys. Watch this. This is like so cool. Now, I don't have to cover up everything, but it really is neat. Right? the other colors. It's okay. See how it's more faded in one spot? It's right. Like more faded here, brighter here. It's okay. It's okay. So we're going to stipple. We're going to continue to stipple and use that yellow and that white really bright. Okay. Now remember, I told you that we're probably going to dip down into where that tunnel is, right? And put like little pieces. Right? And we can go lighter. We can go lighter. Thank you, Joe. We can go lighter with the yellow white to get a couple more pieces, right? And again, just dab. See how that's working? So now I've got lots of different colors in there. Yellow whites, regular whites, right? Now you can just do a little sponge, right? You want that big, thick, blotchy leaf looking, right? Okay. You're going to find that you probably like the yellow-white better than yellow, and that's okay, because it gives a lot more brightness. But be careful when you come down lower to the painting that it's just a couple pieces. Like you might want just like 1, 2, 3, right? You might want just a couple pieces. Don't want it like too heavy, right? And you can connect them, right? I told you we'd cover a lot of the leaves up, but you still see a little bit of the trunks back there, and you want to see that. You want to see the trunks. That's why we put them in earlier. All right. So I've got yellows in here, and I'm going to continue to stipple really big, like I'm really using the front part of my brush, not the edge, like really the front part, and I'm smashing it. Okay? Smashing it in here. Smash, smash. There's a couple pieces at the bottom, you know, where I really want it to be really light, like right here. Look at how low some of the stippling goes down here, right? And remember, if you get too much of the yellow and you don't love it, just dab some red in there. I'll show you. You know what I'll do? I'll do so much. I'll like mess this up. Let me mess this up and make it just like all yellow. So I'll show you what I mean. Okay. So that's like way too much yellow and white, and I've lost my red. What would I do? What would I do? I could go directly into my red, right here, and create red right in there. Right? And I can layer that in. And I can keep going. Boom, 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 right? Now that's if I had like too much, right? But that's pretty. But again, if I have too much red and I don't love that, I would put more of my yellow white back in, right? And so you're playing back and forth. You're playing back and forth by putting in some reds and putting in some yellow and white, right? All right. So again, I'm going to add some yellow white back here because, you know, now the red took over. So what would that look like? So I have a lot of red in here, right? A lot of red in here. So just take some pieces and just minimize it. So you don't want to get rid of it, right? See how that's working? See how you get a really nice blend? But again, this side is a little bit higher. This side is a little bit lower. We talked about that earlier, right? Also, to get some different texture, which is really super fun, you can switch brushes. So you get the bigger blobs, right, with the bigger flat tip brush, and then with the round, it's the larger one, right? You have a smaller one here, right? So we're going to be using this one. You can stipple with this too. You don't have to stipple with just the flat tip brush. You can stipple with this guy too. She's awesome. So let's make our yellow white. And again, we have a couple pieces dangling down here, but look how much smaller and how much more control we have with this guy. A lot of control. And also, like down here, if you wanted to like put some, you know, into your trunks, you know, feel free to continue on playing with the painting as you stipple up in here to continue down into your trunks too. It's cool. All right. Now again, it's a game that you play with yourself. If you get too much of one color, you put your other color back in, right? Get too much red, you put in more yellow white. You get too much yellow white, you put in your red. So here, I have too much yellow white, so I can stipple in some red, right? And here I have a lot of yellow white. I don't have a lot of red. So if the blotches are too big, your stippling is too big, you can minimize it by putting in a little bit of red in there, and it starts to really make it nice, right? Okay. Another thing you can do too is like, these are in front of me, and they're not as dark as like this one's dark. So I can just take a little bit of the color I already have on my brush. Just lighten it. See how that works? This guy too. This guy's dark too. Take a little bit of color on my brush. Right? So you've got a little bit more perspective there. All right, I'd like a little bit more red in there. You can see the red there. The light is kind of shining on it because it's wet, so you can't really see it, but there definitely is red in there, right? All right, I want some bigger blobs of white and yellow in the center. I'd love to have some in the center, just around this entryway here, so it's not so tunnel, right? Not so tunnel. So now it looks like more of a pathway, like they're going, you know, further away. We haven't popped them in yet. but you're getting the idea, right? All right. You can use white too. You can use white directly on here just to make it really, really light. It will mix in with the colors you already have. Just want it to get a little bit lower on this side, as far as where the leaves are. Cool. How is the stippling going? So you're playing a game, right? Don't forget you're putting things into your pathway. You're playing a game back and forth. Now remember that if you covered up too much of your branches, and you make that purple, which is the blue and red, you covered up too much of the branches, right? And you wanted just a few pieces to pop through, you know, you could do like just in a couple areas, right? Like not all the way down, right? Just a couple little spaces that are like showing up, right? And again, if it's too thick, you can definitely stipple over that. But just so you have like a couple spaces, a couple areas where you can still see some of the branches coming through. Just little peaks, little peaks of the branches coming through, right? All right, cool. All right. So, when it comes to the people, you guys, the people are very impressionist. It's super, super easy. I like to do hats. So I have a hat on the guy and a little cap on the woman here, right? There she is right there. I have like a little cap on her. I like it because it gives some nice space between the neck. But it really is almost just like doing a dot with a straight line coming down and then filling it in a little bit. The leg is just a straight line, and then I'll just do a shadow off to the right. That's it. I mean, it really is. We take our little tiny brush. I'll do it in front of you, so I'll show you one. But less is more with the people. Less is more meaning very impressionist, very, very light. Not a lot of paint on your brush, okay? Not a lot of paint on your brush. Right. So wipe off a little bit of paint. Okay. The guy happens to be a little bit taller than the woman in this painting, right? And that kind of depicts, you know, that he's the guy. He also has a top hat too. But it's really, really simple. Like, it's not a lot of detail. And the arms are in front. His arm looks like it's kind of wrapping around her. So let's do her first. So just do like a little dot. Little dot. Kind of wet my brushes. Right? Little dot. Very, very small. Just like super, super small. And then like here, maybe that's her dress. Like just one little leg and then like a shadow here. I mean, that's it. I mean, it doesn't take much. Doesn't take much. Okay? Doesn't take much. You can like elongate her hat a little bit and like fill in a little bit of her clothing, you know, and then just cut her off. You know, give her like a little bit of a skirt. Very impressionist. But it looks cool. Alright. So that's her. And then you want the guy to be close to her, right? Unless he doesn't like her. thinking it's a happier story. I'm thinking he really loves her. And I'm thinking they're an older couple. That's what I think. I think they're a little bit older. And this is the park that they always go to have that quality time. Cool. All right. So he's a little taller, so I'll do his top hat, right? So I'll put him up here. I'll do like a little hat here. And just like a little jacket, and then I'm just going to reach his arm over a little bit. But again, it's not like a lot of detail, right? Very impressionist, very, very impressionist. Okay? He's got his jacket there, coming off, and then he's got his leg coming down, and again, you know, off to the side. Very impressionist, very French. It's almost like you're just suggesting, you can see like she has a hat. You're just like suggesting that there's people there. Very, very cool. Okay. And now with my stippling in my foliage, I still have a lot of yellow. I don't really have enough red. So I'm going to put some red back in here because it's gotten way too yellow and I just don't have enough texture. And I really want to be able to see some of the red coming through. So I'm going to put a little bit of that. You want the contrast and the highlight, meaning you want the darker color with the lighter color together. That way you can see the other colors. Right? And again here too, like it's way too like, I need a little bit more red in here. Okay. Right? So there's a little bit of a glare there, but you can see. Cool. And again, if your trunks of your trees are too heavy, right? You can take a little bit of light purple and you can make them a little bit lighter, right? Hey, Daraja. Hey, Liz. Welcome, you guys. Welcome. You can take a little bit of lighter color, like a little bit of your lavender on some of the trees that are further behind you. You can make them a little bit lighter. You can also give them some texture so they're not a flat color, right? So for instance, this way. So remember I made my purple for my trees, right? My blue and my red. So if I use just a little bit of white and created some lavender, right? A little bit of lavender in there. So for my trees that are a little further away, right here, I can create just a little bit of highlight in some of the trees, just to soften them. Just to soften them a little bit. Right? Okay. I really like this song. This is so pretty. I love Echo Song. Love it, love it, love it. So like this one, a little further away, a little bit lighter. This one lighter, right? This one a little bit lighter. Give it a little bit of texture, right? So now you can see the highlight on some of the trunks there, right? Looks a little bit lighter, right? Cool. And again, there's a little bit of a glare there so you can see where some of the reds and yellows are there. And you can see where the pathway goes. Now if you feel like the pathway in the sky is too vibrant, right? For instance, you wanted to show where the pathway ends and where the sky begins, you can take your baby blue, and remember, it's just a smidge of blue, okay? You really want it to be very, very, very white. Very white. Very, very white. Here's my baby blue here. It's super, super white. Okay? Add a little bit more white to it. You just want it really light. And you can stipple in a little bit of sky in here. And you can stipple in between the leaves too. So that you can see where the sky is, where they're walking, and where the path really, like, that's where you can see the path. But it gives it some perspective and some depth so you feel like they have a place to go to. If I cut this off right now, it would look really final. In this way, it gives it a little bit of air to breathe, right? So they have a place to go. Again, like up here, remember? I had the branch. I'm just trying to show you stuff so if you want to fix stuff along the way that you don't enjoy, because I'm going through my painting and there are things that I don't enjoy that I want to make better, right? That my eye needs to enjoy and appreciate the beauty that's coming through, okay? So what I do is I'll take a little bit of my red and my yellow, I'll create an orange. This branch bothers me, it's way too vibrant. So what would I do? Just minimize it and stipple some color over it. I like it. I like it. Okay? Alright. So that's really it, you guys, for this painting. I mean, it's really cool. It's Strolling Through Fall. You got the really impressionist figures. I mean, they're super, super impressionist, right? You're obviously leaving some space where the neck is, and you're just doing a little shadow off to the right, and that's it. Little shadow off to the right, and that's it. Cool. So if you have any questions, you guys, ask me. You can comment in there and leave some questions behind. We're going to be doing virtual events probably once a week, maybe twice a week on Stir Up the Paint. They're going to be free events just to get you guys to acclimate with some of our instructors. We have 3 other instructors. We have Brianna Feccarata. They're all amazing, by the way. And they all have a different way of reaching out and connecting with you, and they're amazing. We have Ann Woodford, and we have Katie Smith. And again, we're all part of the same team. They're all amazing, amazing people. Ann is a chalkboard artist. Katie's been painting for years and years. Also on the stirupthepaint.com website, we have an artist instructor page. You can see their bios, and you can click on links outside of the website, and you can see what they do and the art that they create, and it's super fun. All right. So on that note, if you guys don't have any questions for me, I want to bid you love and light, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening. And I hope tomorrow is even better. And I wish you guys the best. Until we see you next time to do another painting event, I bid you farewell. Love and light. Good night, you guys.